Okay, so tell me a little bit about Home Builders Foundation. How did it, get started?
Yeah, so the Home Builders Foundation started over 30 years ago when people from the Home Builders Association here in the Denver metro area wanted to find a way to give back to the community. So it started as a small associate group of the Home Builders Association, and they were looking at ways to use trades and builders and craftsmen here in the area to give back. Once the victims from the Columbine shootings started coming home, they realized that's when they could really use their skills and their skill set to start giving back to the community and making their homes accessible. So those were some of our first projects as we became the Home Builders Foundation. And we started working with people coming home from the hospital, with accidents, about living in their home safely and independently after after they sustained an injury. So we have been around for about 30 years now. We are always growing, and now we are no longer a part of the Home Builders Association. The Home Builders Foundation is our own entity. We have our own office space, our own board, our own budget, but we are highly supported through the Home Builders Association, and we are their charity of choice and work closely together.
Mm-hmm. So what services do you provide exactly at the Home Builders Foundation? Is it residential? Like, what's it all about?
Yeah, so we work in the 8 county Denver metro region, and we modify houses for people with long-term disabilities. So we serve three groups of people. So we serve people who are aging in place and don't want to be in managed care and stay in their home. We serve people with long-term disabilities, and we serve people with spinal cord and traumatic brain injuries. Craig Hospital is here in Denver, so we help serve a lot of those patients coming home from Craig Hospital or other rehab facilities here in Denver. What we truly do is work on safety and independence in and around your home. So going from floor to floor, going from room to room, and going inside to outside. So that from inside to outside, that could be anything from a wheelchair ramp to a vertical platform lift to get into your home. And then going from room to room, that could mean anything from widening the doorways, putting down hardwood floors, giving you a standing pole in your bedroom, really trying to make the home as accessible as possible. And then going from floor to floor, that could mean a stair lift, grab bars, railings, anything to make people feel safe and independent in their home. So we can do everything from grab bars, bathroom modifications, and in some cases, we will do additions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's basically like home modification. Yeah, I've heard about that before. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, my next question is what do you have to consider, when making things accessible? Because like you said, you have to install a bunch of things according to people's, disabilities. So I'm wondering, what do you have to take into consideration, I guess?
Yeah. So the way that we pick our projects or pick the clients that we're working with is we have an application process where people apply online or through a paper application that we can send to them, and they fill it out and kind of give us all of their information. And we get anywhere from 15 to 20 of those a month. Each month, we pick 10 to 12 of those to go on a site visit with our operations director, Brian. And then usually two advocate volunteers come with Brian. And when Brian and our volunteers are out at the project, that is when they are trying to decide what are we going to do here to make things accessible. Brian has 20 plus years in modifications for ADA accessible bathrooms, wheelchair ramps, everything that we do. So he is the true person looking at each project and deciding what is going to be the best fit for them. and what we are most able to do. Most of our clients get 2 projects done, so 2 work items. So that could be a wheelchair ramp and grab bars, door widening, or flooring. So when we're in there in their home, we're really trying to just see what is going to make them the most safe and independent for them and their caregivers that are helping them do their daily activities in home and inside and outside of the house. So once we have that application filled out, we go on a site tour, we bring that back to our board in a monthly meeting that we call the project fulfillment committee meeting. And that is where we match projects with project captains, or clients with project captains. And we are able to do that in 3 different ways. We actually have 4 construction techs that work for the Home Builders Foundation that are out in the world doing projects all day long for us. And that is their #1 job in getting things done. We also have project captains that are there that volunteer their time, their labor, their resources to get a project done, and they take that on and volunteer their time and materials. Or we can pay people to be able to get some projects done, as we have remodelers that we work with to get bathrooms done or other things like that. So we really pride ourselves in matching projects and clients together so that the client is having a wonderful experience, and all of our volunteers are also having great experience giving back to their community with what they are good at and what their talents are, and be able to really help people thrive in our community.
Mm-hmm. My next question is, what sort of stakeholders do you partner with to get all these things in place? Because obviously the clients are obviously #1 stakeholders, but there are other stakeholders as well in terms of like getting all the things set up and getting all the grab bars and stuff like that. So,
Yeah. So stakeholders, #1, of course, HBF clients. That is why we are here, and that's why we're here to serve the community. But truly, our supporters and volunteers are what makes HBF really, truly possible. We start each year going to our in-kind donors. So our donors of tile, our donors of grab bars, our donors of lumber and treated material, and asking them how much they're willing to donate that year so that we can keep that in-house and continue to do these projects at such a minimal cost. And then we also have our annual supporters, who are companies here in Denver that support all 4 of our HBF events. So we host 4 events a year. We host a clay shooting event, which we had last week. We have a golf tournament. We have something called Blitz Build, where we build 3 to 4 wheelchair ramps every month, 1 weekend each month. And then we have our annual celebration, which is a gala. And we have companies that monetarily support all of our events. So we're fundraising for those projects year round. We also are supported generously through our donors, our monthly reoccurring donors, and largely some grants through various of grant making organizations here in Denver and around the country that provide us with the opportunity to give back. Last year, we were able to serve 165 clients. We completed 339 work items. We had 29 wheelchair ramps completed during Blitz Build. And if you would have added all of that up, and if the clients were to pay out of pocket for that, the retail value of all of our projects is 1.9 million. So none of that is really possible without our donors, annual supporters, stakeholders who really come together. We had over 70 project captains taking on projects last year to get these projects done, so people can live here in Denver and their caregivers can continue to care for them and safe and independently in their homes.
mm-hmm. My next question is, what impact does your organization have on the disability community? What have you heard from clients, caregivers, people on, this kind of work where they're like, oh, we like this, we like how you guys are supporting the disability community? What
Huh.
have you heard from people?
I would say almost everything that we hear is, for the most part, very positive. I think because we have a large, what we call community partners here in Denver, which is people within the disability community that can refer their patients to us. So that would be Craig Hospital, Children's Hospital. There's an elementary school here in town called Fletcher Miller that just serves kids with disabilities, ALS, MS Association. We work closely with them so that they know the type of projects that we do here in Denver, and then they're able to refer their clients that they know would be the best fit for that. But I actually was out at a client's house on Friday just visiting with some people that we had just recently completed a project for them. It was a disability that was onset at the age of about 62, 63. So, he was living his life and then is now full-time in a wheelchair, which is hard for somebody. And him and his wife, I was talking to his wife, and she said, the modifications that you guys did in our house saved our lives. There's no chance. He's 6'4", 280 pounds. His wife is maybe 5'3", 100 pounds. And the modifications that we've been able to provide them with the bathroom and the grab bars are allowing them to live in this house safely, because realistically, without them, there would have been no chance that she could have cared for him in that situation. And we really truly tried to make sure that clients, especially clients of little kids as they get older, what you need when your baby's disabled when they're small, and you can still pick them up and carry them up the steps and put them in the bathtub until they get to be a certain age where they really need those next steps. We're here to kind of walk along with those parents each step of the way. So, hey, the next step is going to be a stair lift. The next step might be a roll-in bathroom. You have to save your back. You have to be able to care for this child for a long time. Let's make sure that we're giving you these resources so that you don't get hurt, so that you're staying healthy, and this bathroom can serve you and your child. So really working closely to making sure that we are providing services that are going to be there for a lifetime, because a lot of these projects are transformational for these families to be able to stay in their homes, especially right now with interest rates, and housing here in Denver is extremely expensive. So just going out and buying a ranch house is not possible. It's just not really in the cards for most people. So trying to make whatever home they have work for them, knowing that this could be their family home. They raised their 5 kids here. They don't want to leave. They want to make this a part of where they are now, and us stepping along with them to do that.
My last kind of big question that I have for you is, how do you create an accessible and inclusive world for everyone? Because like you said, you talked about housing and how people with disabilities often struggle to find housing. It's also happening here in Seattle where like
Mhm.
people with, low income backgrounds
Mhm.
don't have access to housing and like it's so expensive. So I'm wondering how
Yeah.
you guys do that at Home Builders Foundation.
Yeah. So one thing that we've started to do this year, for the first 30 years at HBF, one of the main points of the application was that you had to own a home for us to be able to come in and modify it. Um, as we've learned over the years, my dad is paralyzed. I am fully kind of ingrained into the Medicaid world of how a lot of these things work. Owning a home is not always possible for everybody. And so what we realized is that we were missing a whole set of people that we could very much be helping if we could open up our applications to people who rent their homes, because that is kind of where we saw the next set of need, was people living in homes that are rental homes. And there are things that HBF can do to make those rental homes safer and more independent for people, such as stair lifts, wheelchair ramps, grab bars, things that can be easily, if someone moves, taken out or changed or moved back and put back into the normal way that it was, according to however the landlord would like that to happen. So as HBF is growing and we're growing at an exponential rate at the moment, we're really trying hard to serve communities that we haven't always been able to serve because we know the need is so great. So moving into that rental market was a huge step for us this year to serve even a broader base of people here in Denver, because we know, especially with the housing market, interest rates, the unaffordability of buying a home right now, we have to be able to keep on serving and growing even more people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's important. So like I know this isn't on my notes, but like what are you guys doing at the citywide level to sort of address the high rising of housing and interest rates?
So we don't, um, the HBF is not a organization that is going to go and talk to the city officials or anything like that. That's not in our wheelhouse. The Home Builders Association, who we are close to, and we were formed out of them, they have a whole like lobbying legislative arm where they are working here in Denver and at, in Washington, DC for all of those bigger level things, but HBF really isn't. We know we're to stay in our lane, and our lane is definitely the construction modification point of that. We're a small group of 9, and we've probably doubled in size in the last 2 years. So we just don't have the capacity right now to do any more than the wait list of projects that are waiting for us to kind of take that next big step into that piece.
Mm-hmm.